Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I've got a little bit of a different video for you today, and it's something I've been wanting to make forever. It's what's in the bag. So as you're probably aware, have seen these EDC or everyday carry videos, what's in my wallet videos. These are quite popular on YouTube, and I'm a huge gear geek and I love that kind of stuff. I thought it'd be interesting to create a video about what does a neurologist carry. Now this video is just what I happen to carry. It's kind of what I've curated over the last 4 years. Something I think for any new neurologist to think about is the situation in which you're practicing. So for example, the resident who happens to be working on very busy inpatient services or a consult service where you're moving between multiple sites and maybe have limited access to workrooms, you're gonna wanna prioritize the lightest kit possible as opposed to someone who's working in primarily a clinic setting and you can mostly leave all your stuff at work and you want everything there. So my kit is optimized for weight and portability. This is my bag. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Let's start with what I started with, which was this bag. This is a messenger bag by 5.11. It was too big. I thought that I needed to put everything in here. Large reading materials, my laptop, a charger, an adapter, an iPhone cable, headphones, and then all of my other gear. I thought I had to have that on me all the time. And I love this bag. I mean, it's got all these zippers, it's got Velcro, different compartments, but the major limitation of this bag was it was just too heavy. So I had all of that weight hanging off of one shoulder all day, and it started to just wreak havoc on my neck. So after dealing with that giant bag, putting pressure on my neck, having at least a couple of months to a year of actual neurology service under my belt, I was able to pare down my kit and use this. This is the 5.11 two-banger bag. Yes, 5.11 is a company that makes bags and devices for people that own guns. I don't personally condone or agree with ownership of guns for personal protection. I'm fine with people who want to hunt or go shoot at the range just for fun, but I'm not necessarily endorsing that type of lifestyle or use case. I just think they make really excellent bags, and I have not found anything better that's this size and this light. It's made of this really, really lightweight but incredibly durable material. These zippers, these are YKK zippers, so they're really, really good quality. They've got kind of the perfect amount of resistance and strength, so these zippers are not gonna fail you. And all of that comes together to make a really, really lightweight package, which is really important when you're on the move. This thing never leaves my shoulder when I'm on service because I need all this stuff with me all the time. I don't want to lose it. I like to be mobile and I like to have two hands free, so when my pager is going off incessantly throughout the day, I can quickly look at it, respond with my phone, take notes. Now, why not just use the pockets in the white coat? Some people do like to carry their stuff that way. I just think it's too clanky and you're also kind of limiting yourself. So some people feel like they're okay carrying just a reflex hammer and a couple of pens. You know, for a neurologist, especially somebody like me who really likes to have everything I need on me, that's just not acceptable. Let's go through some of the features of the bag. So it's got this front compartment that unzips and opens up like this. It's got these two little sort of like fishnet things with bands on them. They're great for holding kind of smaller items like a pager or something about that size. Next, we've got the main compartment. It's pretty large and spacious, and there's really no bells and whistles. Now, I'm a person who loves modular design in a bag, but if you're using stuff super frequently, it's better to just have it all in here. And then the last compartment, which I really like, has these two little tabs that you yank on, and they open up into another compartment which I keep my ophthalmoscope in. In here, there are a couple more of these little straps which you can sort of theoretically shove stuff in, so it's a little more secure. Would I prefer this to be maybe a third zipper pocket? Actually, yeah, I would prefer that. The only thing I don't love about this is theoretically, if you had this upside down, there are spaces for stuff to fall through. Then if we turn the bag around and back, We've got this nice little stretchy fishnet that has Velcro on it. The reason I love this is I keep all of my papers in here. So my patient lists, I fold them in half and I shove them right in here. And that way they're always on me. I can grab them with ease and I don't need to wear a white coat. On the front of the bag, there's a little piece of Velcro here, which is great for sticking on your morale patch. One thing I really love about this bag is despite it being somewhat small, the strap is nice and large. So at the top, you have this really nice padded thick material that goes over your shoulder to kind of keep you comfortable. It's got 3 little Velcro straps here, so that's completely customizable. The length is customizable. The way it attaches to your bag is customizable, so you have these little clips here in different areas that the strap can go on for kind of different use cases, different setups. And then one thing I never really thought I would need is there's a little strip of moly here. This is material that was frequently used in the military to easily make attachments to things and make things more modular. But this is a great spot for my pen and my flashlight. And the way the bag hangs, it looks something like this. And so that means that my pen and flashlight are like right here on my hip, so I can grab them even if I'm not using a pocketed shirt or again a white coat. So that's the bag. Now let's talk about what's in the bag. So starting with this front pocket, things I keep in here are a secondary ID for a second sight in this little pouch here. Keep my pager in here. The level of hate I have for this thing, I cannot put into words. I don't want to talk about it anymore. There is a little clip here, which is kind of nice. It holds my keys on it, so they don't have to be jingling around in my pocket. I actually really like to carry these little small strips of jelly, and I use this for ocular ultrasound. Usually I can find an ultrasound device down in the emergency department when I'm seeing consults, but sometimes it's a little bit tougher to track down the tubes of jelly, and so I just carry my own on me. Next in the front pouch, I keep my pins as part of my sensory testing. If you're in the emergency department, usually there's always those cotton swabs that you can break in half and use for pinprick sensory testing. But in other places, you can't find something like that. So I always keep something on me like this, which is a little pin with a couple of other pins attached to it. I can just open it up like this, pull one off, use it on a patient, and then throw it away and be done with it. The red pen in here, this is the Pilot G2. This is the perfect pen. I usually have a standing order on Amazon for these things because I lose so many of them and they actually don't last very long. That's one complaint with them. And that is the front pouch. In the side strap, I've got a black pen, and then I keep my pen light. This is a ThruNite T14 version 2 pen light. This thing is, I think, a little bit outdated now. They still produce it, but they have some upgraded versions. But I just keep coming back to this. I've lost a couple of these things, but they're fantastic. So it's relatively light. It's got a nice clip on it. It feels pretty rugged. A lot of pen lights just have basically one mode. It's on or it's off. And in a dark situation, you're just blasting people with light. And in some cases it's so bright you can't even see the pupil. So I like this one where with a couple of different button presses, it gives you sort of different grades of light. This last feature I don't use. I suppose you could induce a seizure in somebody, or like call for help if your car breaks down on the road. But I love this thing, it's never failed me. And then beyond just pupillary testing, I do like that super bright setting to be looking at wounds, to be looking in people's mouths. So this is a great pen light, highly recommend this. All right, we're in the main compartment now. And first off, we have my tuning fork for vibratory sensation. Take note that this is 128 Hertz. I do not use one that's 512 Hertz for hearing. I've just never found it to be that useful in any kind of like urgent setting. I don't prefer any particular make or model. Usually these things are just kind of floating around resident rooms. You can buy them for pretty cheap on Amazon. I don't have a specific recommendation because they're basically all the same. Next, we've got the one tool that you have to have on you. You are not a neurologist if you don't have this on you. It's the reflex hammer. This is the MDF 555 Tromner hammer. I think a lot of people really like Tromner hammers because of the weight and portability of them. So this thing is sort of a flat profile, so it sits in a case like this or a pocket really nicely. MDF and other companies make a version of these hammers where the handle is plastic, and I suppose that's nice for portability. But something that any neurologist will tell you is really important to have in a reflex hammer is a good amount of weight. A major reason that I think, and most of my colleagues think, that the tomahawk style of reflex hammers are garbage is because they're so lightweight. And that's doing two things to you. It's making reflexes much more difficult to obtain. And so if you're giving a hammer like that to a bunch of medical students, of course they're gonna fail, get discouraged, and think they can't elicit reflexes. And number two, because there is less weight, it requires a bigger swing. So when you're swinging this and striking your own knuckles multiple times a day, I think you're much more likely to injure yourself using one of those lighter hammers, which is sort of a paradox. Unlike the Tromner style that come with a plastic handle, I much prefer one with a solid metal body like this one. These usually go on Amazon for around 20 to 30 bucks. I'm a moron and paid $40 for this because this is the blackout version. I thought it looked really cool, totally not worth it. So this is probably only a month of use, and you can already see that a lot of the paint has chipped off. This is about the crappiest paint job I've ever seen on a device like this. Not worth it. Stick with the $20 to $30 ones. So what's next in the bag? Another reflex hammer. Yes, I've actually been kind of trialing this other reflex hammer. So if you asked me what my absolute favorite reflex hammer is, period, it would be the Queen Square style, or the one with the round circle or tire like this one. And that's just because you're more likely to get that reflex kind of at any particular angle. One of the reasons I don't carry a Queen Square with me all the time is the way that it would fit into your pocket. So even if you had something small like this, the way that the striking portion of the hammer is oriented on top of here just kind of makes it awkward to sit in any space. Furthermore, the good ones are quite long, and so they're just not portable. So would definitely keep this in my clinic, but not on my person. Now, having said that, I did want to give one of these telescoping reflex hammers a try and just see what I thought about it. So I went ahead and purchased the MDF 535XT, or the Babinski 2.0 hammer, and I gave it a try. So what a lot of people will tell you about these telescoping reflex hammers is that they have too much kind of give in them, particularly at the head, because to keep this nice and compact, the head actually actuates like this. So some people say there's too much give and it makes your reflexes a little bit more difficult to obtain. However, that's on the old model, the version 1. This is the second generation version, and I have to say, it's pretty great. There is really minimal give here. There's a tiny bit, but I think it's kind of unavoidable. And particularly at the head, I'm feeling almost nothing here. So I think I'm probably gonna end up switching to this as being my primary hammer. I love the big swing that you get. It's got a nice weight. The craftsmanship feels pretty good. I like that it's made out of real metal and not some kind of flimsy plastic. The head actuates into more of a flat plane, and it telescopes down to a nice small size. It's actually even a little bit smaller than my Tromner hammer. So I would actually recommend you give this one a try as well and see which one you think is the best for you. Last thing in the main compartment is a reference guide. You're telling me a fourth year resident uses a reference guide and carries around this book with them all the time? Yes, 100% yes. I think particularly if you are a general neurologist or a trainee, this is indispensable. Now, why wouldn't I just save the weight, throw this away, and use UpToDate? The neurology-specific articles I find vary by quite a bit in terms of brevity and quality, and that's sort of my biggest issue with UpToDate, is if I'm on the move, seeing loads of consults in the emergency department, I don't want to pull up and read a 30-page article about CMV encephalitis. I just want the 2-inch big, need-to-know information right now. And that's what these things are great for. Pick one that's right for you. I've used a couple of different ones, and they're all kind of different in their approach. Some are more of a symptom-based, some of them are broken down by system, And that's the way this one is laid out. Pocket Neurology, the yellow book, highly recommend this one. And as you can see, I use this thing daily. All right, last thing in the bag. This is the Bank Buster. It's the Welsh Allen Panoptic Ophthalmoscope. This thing is a beast and I love it. But let's start with the battery first. So the Panoptic works with any Welsh Allen battery handle that you might already have, but I highly recommend going for the lithium-ion battery handle. Reason being, it's so light. It's so much lighter than their traditional battery handles. Buying a new battery handle, I'm not sure if they do this on their more traditional ones, but if you buy directly from Welsh Allen, they can engrave your name onto it, which you are gonna wanna do if you're gonna shell out $900 to $1,000 for this thing. Now that's a lot of money, but the nice thing is that most residency programs have some sort of book fund, and I would encourage you to use your book fund on something like this. Another upgrade I recommend is buying one with the LED light instead of the halogen light. This is because halogen lights burn out. The LED light, it's not gonna fail you. The reason I use this thing and have never gone back to a more traditional ophthalmoscope is the field of view. It's crazy. It's about 5 times bigger field of view than you would get with a more traditional ophthalmoscope. So that would be about 25-degree field of view. So what that means practically is when I look at an undilated eye, I can see the entire fundus. I don't have to work my way all the way around the corners. I just, bam, it's right there. Every single time, never fails, even with small pupils. Ergonomically, this thing is also amazing. So the way you hold it is kind of like this. The focusing wheel, it's right here. It's right where it feels natural, and you just move your thumb up and down just like this. I can make really quick and huge adjustments. I can make fine adjustments. I love it, and it's so much better than those more traditional ophthalmoscopes where you're using your finger to dial it in on the side. I'm sure a lot of you have had the experience of having to pull one of those off the wall in a clinic room or the emergency department, and that dial has kind of broken down over time and is really difficult to turn to the point that you almost need to use your whole hand to turn it. Changing the lenses is really easy with the dial right here, and then the way you look through it is just like this. So it feels really nice in the hand. This is the one thing that I was willing to compromise on in terms of size and bulk. This is a pretty big thing to have on you all the time. I don't have many colleagues who carry their ophthalmoscope on them all the time, but I do because I think it's amazing. It's an indispensable part of my kit, particularly if you upgrade the battery to the lithium-ion battery, you're saving a ton of weight. 2 things you did not see in my kit are OKN strips and a red lens. Why not OKN strips? There's an app for that. And why not a red lens? To be honest, I rarely need a red lens. When I'm encountering horizontal diplopia, I can usually use some really simple techniques that I call the diplopia rules to figure it out 9 times out of 10. So that's it. That's everything I carry in my bag on me every day when I'm on the job. Will this change when I start my fellowship and I'm more clinic-based? Probably, yeah. But this is what I use right now. I would love to hear about what kind of stuff you guys carry on you, what kind of bags you like and why in the comments below. All the items I talked about, I'm gonna try to link in the description below. And then do me a huge favor and the channel a huge favor by subscribing and ringing the bell for notifications. And I'll see you in the next video. Which is great if you're in a dark, as you can't, so I always carry. So.